Yeah, Madison, I can go over that number. Let's see. Okay, so for number 22, you're supposed to find the value of x. So when you look at this problem, it tells you that AB is perpendicular to AC, okay? Or to BC, sorry. AB is perpendicular to BC. We know that perpendicular lines form a 90-degree angle, right? So that tells us that these are 90 degrees. So we can say x plus 68 equals 90, and then solve for x that way. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay, Ethan, number 16 on the test. Give me just a second. My computer is being crazy again. Okay, let's try this. So number 16 says, write an equation of the line that passes through the given point P and has the given slope M. So on this one, we have our P of -2, 4, And then m equals 3. Okay, so we can use, probably the easiest thing to do will be to use that point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y stays the same, minus y1, which is 4, equals 3, which is our m, times x minus x1. So that would be minus a minus 2, so plus 2. Okay. I don't know why this is writing all over the screen, so bear with me on that, okay? Y minus 4 equals, now we have to distribute this in here. So 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times 2 is 6. So now we need to move this 4 over. So since we're subtracting 4, we'll add 4 to both sides and get y equals 3x plus 10. Does that make sense, Ethan? Okay, good. Okay, Bailey, for number 12, what do we know about the relationship between those two angles? What do you know about the relationship between the two angles that it shows there on number 12? No, they're not corresponding. Let's look at the location of them, okay? Let me see if I can share the screen. So, for number 12, when you look at this angle here and this angle here, we don't really have anything like a postulate or a theorem that talks about those two angles having a relationship with each other. But we do know that angle 73, or sorry, this 73-degree angle would be a vertical angle with that angle, correct? Okay. So if it's a vertical angle with this angle, what does that make the measure of this angle here? Okay, that's right. It makes it 73. And then what do we know about this angle and this angle? Now we have a relationship that we can define between those two. Okay, so yeah, those two angles there, this x plus 12 degrees here, and then this angle here that we know is congruent with that angle. So these two angles are consecutive interior or same side interior, like we learned yesterday. And what's the relationship between consecutive angles? Are they congruent or are they supplementary? Okay, so when you look here, do these two angles look like they're the same? Okay, so what about flipping back in your chapter? Let's see. Page 154 in your book. So we said that those are consecutive interior angles, right? So if two lines are cut by a transversal, the consecutive interior angles are supplementary, okay? So supplementary means they add up to what? 180. So we know this angle is 73, and this 73 plus that equals 180. So now you can solve for x. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Alicia, give me just a second to get it pulled up on the screen, okay? Okay, so for 26, you're supposed to write the equation. Oh, why did it scroll? Sorry. 26, you're supposed to write the equation of a line that passes through point P and is parallel to the line with the given slope and then perpendicular also, okay? So let's try this. Okay, so on that problem, our point is -6, 5. And the equation of the line that they give us is 7y plus 4x equals 2. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is figure out the slope of that line. Okay. So in order to do that, we're going to have to work this equation around to get it in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to move this 4x over. So I'll have 7y equals -4x plus 2. And then I have to divide by 7, okay, to get y by itself. So -4 over 7x plus 2 over 7, all right? So here's my slope. There we go, -4 over 7. So now we can plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
Miss Smith.
Uh-huh.
Not showing on the screen again.
Again?
Yeah.
This computer is going to kill me. Let's try again. Okay, how's that?
That's good.
Okay. So let's look here. Here's our point, -6, 5. And then the equation that it gives us is here. So we had to work that equation around to get it in y equals mx plus b form, okay? So we moved the 4x over and then divided everything by 7. So now we have our slope is -4/7. And we're going to plug into the point slope formula. That's the easiest way to do it, guys, okay? So you'll have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the y stays the same, minus y1 is 5, okay, because that's the y coordinate of the point that they give us. And then our slope is -4/7 times x minus x1 is a -6, so it'll be a +6, okay? And then you're going to work that through. You'll distribute this in here, okay? And then you're going to have to, since you're subtracting 5 here, you'll have to also add 5 to both sides. So what you're going to come up with is y equals negative 4/7 x plus 11 over 7. Okay? And that's for the one that's parallel. So then you'll follow those same steps to find the equation of the line that's perpendicular, because you also have to do that. Except on this one, a perpendicular slope is the opposite reciprocal. Okay? So if our slope is negative 4/7, the opposite reciprocal of that is going to be positive 7/4. So then you'll do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 again. And you'll plug in that slope, okay? So 7/4 times x minus 6, so that'll be plus 6. And the y minus y1, again, is y minus 5. And then you'll solve that through by distributing that in, okay? And then by bringing this 5 over. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Yeah, Isabel, give me just a second, okay? Okay, Isabel, number 13 says, find the slope of the line that passes through the points 3, -1, and 3, 4. So if we plot those points on a graph, okay, so 3, -1 is going to be here. And then 3, 4 will be here, right? So a line that passes through those is going to be like this, right? So what do we know about the slope of a vertical line? Yeah, the slope of a vertical line is undefined, okay? And here's how you can kind of tell that too. So when you're looking at this slope, the formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So if our points are 3, -1, and 3, 4, then we're going to say 4 minus a minus 1 is 4 plus 1 over x2 minus x1 is 3 minus 3. So that's going to equal 5 over 0, right? And division by 0 is undefined. So your slope for that is undefined. Does that make sense? Okay. Now for number 19, you have to write the equation of a line that passes through point P and is perpendicular to the line with the given equation. So if you have a point and you have an equation of a line and you need to graph one that's perpendicular, what do we know about the slope of a perpendicular line? Okay, you do have to flip it and you also have to make it the opposite sign, okay? So if the slope of this line is 2, then that's like saying 2 over 1. Then if we flip it and make it the opposite sign, it's going to be -1/2. So then we're going to plug into that same formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? You're going to use these values, okay? So your 3 is going to go there, and your 1 will go there. And then you're going to use this slope because that's perpendicular. So you're going to have y minus 3 equals -1/2 times x minus 1. And then distribute that in and bring this -3 over by adding 3. And then that will be your equation. You're welcome, Isabel.
We just saw this last shot. And action. Trágame de aquí.
Madison, number 25 on the test. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to show it on a different app. Okay, so on this problem, the graph at the right models the cost of renting a moving van. Write an equation of the line and then find the cost of renting the van for a 100-mile trip. So in order to write the equation of the line, we need to know two things, the slope and the y-intercept. So on this one, first off, we can tell the y-intercept is right here, okay, at 0, 30. So that's going to mean b equals 30. Now, the slope we can calculate by using our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we can just use the 2 points that it gives us, okay? So y2 would be 60 minus y1 would be 30 over x2, which is 50, minus x1, which is 0, okay? So 60 minus 30 is 30. 50 minus 0 is 50. So that reduces to 3/5. So now the equation of the line is y equals mx plus b. And we're just going to plug these values in, okay? So we have y equals m, which is 3/5 x plus b, which is 30. So that's the equation of our line, okay? And the next thing it says is find the cost of renting the van for a 100-mile trip. So miles are down here on your x-axis, okay? You can see that here. So basically, you're just going to plug 100 into that equation. So you'll say y equals 3/5 times 100 plus 30. And that will give you the cost of renting it for a 100-mile trip. Does that make sense, Madison? Okay, good. Isabel, for those number 22, 23, and 24 on the chapter test, you are going to you will use 90 degrees for those angles because it tells you that those lines are perpendicular, so they meet at a 90-degree angle. So for like 22, it would be x plus 68 equals 90, and then solve for x. For 23, 3x plus 51 would equal 90, and you would solve for x. And then it looks like the same thing for 24. It's just given to you kind of upside down, like on the bottom. So the clue there is that they're perpendicular. You're welcome.